Dalovina guia dolosana angito talita kini ana barong ng Bula FM e Golden Point Resort basendo nambando ana here binaka.
Bula binaka na dang kutevita utunggoy 90 ando talita ka wale barong ng Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Na dang ko makilesi wer kraki NSB ng Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Hello nga ratu kitchen ng Batambo ando talita na barong ng Bula FM nambando ana sir ngo lusu.
Bula FM number 2 ana sir.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In this bulletin, death from tropical cyclone Winston rises to 29. Government says it might take a long time to recover. And we take a look at some communities trying to recover from the devastation. "29 people have died in the aftermath of tropical cyclone Winston, with one missing. There is little doubt about the ferocity of this cyclone, which claimed many lives and left hundreds homeless. Farzana Nisha has the latest.
Tropical cyclone Winston is one of the deadliest storms since Cyclone Meli in 1953, which claimed 53 lives. National Disaster Management Office Director Akaposi Tuifangalele says reports from the 4 regions are still coming in and the figures are bound to change.
We have 27 injuries that are actually being reported from the Western Division. The Northern Division, though there is no figures over there, we know that the Northern Division is also one of the major hit areas in the country. The Divisional Commissioner and his team, they are also working around the clock to actually get some figures across to us, and so we should be able to provide you later on that one. For the Eastern Division, what we have got so far is 3 that have been hospitalized and 39 that are being injured. These are mostly for the Lomaiviti group, and for the Central Division, we have 3 injured.
Tuifangalele says the Western Division evacuation centers hold the highest number of evacuees.
The evacuation centers so far, as I mentioned, Central has 122, the Western has 110, Eastern 9, with the North 33, with a total of 274. In terms of the evacuees that we have, the Central Division has 4,880, with the Western Division 6,483, 514 for the Eastern Division, and 2,035 for the Northern Division.
All government departments are working around the clock to ensure people who have been affected are assisted in every way possible. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says while severe tropical cyclone Winston has left a terrible trail of destruction in its wake, Bainimarama says the government machinery is running on a 24-hour basis to reach those affected by tropical cyclone Winston.
We are working around the clock to address the needs of our people, and whoever you are in Fiji, wherever you are in Fiji, we are doing our best to reach you. We realize the desperate position that you are in. We realize how traumatic this is for you and your families, and we ask for your patience and we ask for your understanding. But as Prime Minister, I also want you to know that we will not rest until we have reached you and given you the helping hand you so badly need and deserve at this time.
Stay with us. The Prime Minister's national address in full will air right after this bulletin. The government will spend the next 30 days collecting information and assessing the damage caused by powerful tropical cyclone Winston. National Disaster Management Minister Iniese Ruratu says this is the immediate step taken during the 30 days state of natural disaster declared by the government. Ritika Pratap has more.
Once the government gets a true picture of the damage wreaked by severe tropical cyclone Winston, its next step will be to put together a medium to long-term recovery and rehabilitation plan.
Basic needs, I mean shelter, water, food, and then we will look at accessibility and of course their livelihood as well. That's the first essential task. 2, we are looking at restoration of essential services, the lifelines. Again, electricity, water, ports, jetties, airfields, roading, communications, health, education, restoration of essential services. That's the second major essential task. And 3 is the economic recovery and livelihood.
Inya Seri Ratu today mobilized the assets and staff that will focus on immediate recovery and restoration of essential services. Seri Ratu says relief supplies are being distributed at every accessible location.
There are people in the evacuation centers. We will get whatever their needs are to the evacuation centers. At the same time, there are people in villages, there are people in settlements. And talking about settlements, we have the formal settlements and the informal settlements as well. That will depend on the accessibility, and that will also depend on the information that we will get from the divisional setups. And at the same time, we are doing all the concurrent planning from here, and we can also mobilize from here if we are not getting the information from the sources that we are relying on.
The minister says they are doing their best to reach all those affected. However, the government needs to prioritize its relief efforts.
Definitely there are needs in place, but it's a matter of getting accessibility, getting communications. If you have information from people, please do let us know. We need to be sharing informations. The difficulty that we have is getting the informations. Once we have the informations, once we have accessibility, then the provision of their needs is not an issue. We have the capabilities.
Seri Ratu says it is too early to put a dollar value on the damage caused by the cyclone, saying the initial assessment points to extensive damage expected to be costly. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
The tearing destructive winds of tropical cyclone Winston has left extensive damage in the village of Ngoma Island in Tailevu. This comes after 40 homes were completely destroyed. Ali Kimbia has more.
Situated on the northern side of Tailevu, Ngoma Island was also battered by Cyclone Winston. Winston has left devastating destruction and major loss of properties.
From the 60 houses in the village, 40 were completely destroyed with nothing else left in the house. Our village bridge was destroyed and we also lost 2 village boats which drifted out to sea.
Village headman Sailasa Naisele says the experience of Cyclone Winston is something they will never forget.
I have come across Cyclone Bembe and other cyclones, and none of them is as strong and as destructive as this one. On Saturday afternoon, our village was okay, but when we woke up the next morning, everything was gone, and many villages just broke into tears.
This is in the middle of the village, where 7 houses are situated here before. Families are evacuated just in time before strong winds destroyed all they have left.
For some of the families, nothing was left, but they were satisfied there were no loss of lives. Few villagers shared the experience, saying that they were lucky enough to escape death.
This is one of the strongest cyclones that I have come across. But I don't care if my house is destroyed. I am happy of the fact that I am alive.
I was with my 2 kids in the house when our roof went off, so I hid them under the bed and I called for help in the village for my 2 kids to be taken to another house.
I have nothing left. This cyclone is so destructive. We thought that many of us will die as the strong winds were very terrifying.
Hundreds affected villagers are now picking up the pieces and finding ways and means to survive before any relief assistance arrives. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Surviving the ordeal of Cyclone Winston is something Tomasi Tuivuna of Ngoma village will never forget. Tuivuna says he counts himself lucky. Ali Kimbi again with this story.
Tears can only tell what 56-year-old Tomasi Tuivuna went through during Cyclone Winston.
If you see the damage, this says it all. Even for me, I'm old, but I managed to be strong and survive the whole night long. All I can hear is children crying and families running around for shelter.
With only some of his clothes left, Tuivuna says he is lucky to be alive.
I was in the house when the roof went off, so I ran and hid under the table, and the next thing I know, half of the house was gone. I ran to the back of the church to find shelter, and when I looked back, my house was no longer there.
Tuibuna is undecided as to how he will rebuild his life again, as everything he hoped for has been destroyed. With furnitures, eating utensils and bedding completely destroyed, Tuibuna is hoping that someone will be able to help him in his village of Goma. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Coming up after the break, we continue our coverage of the aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Winston.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hola, my name is General from Recreative Village. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Valeu. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Filipa from Tavo Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The Fiji Roads Authority is carrying out temporary repairs on the Nambawalu and Savusavu jetties to reopen access for ships to the islands by tomorrow. Machinery has also been sent to Koro Island in the Lomaiviti group to begin urgent repairs, which will take about 3 days to complete. Ellen Stalls has more.
All roads are now clear and accessible, but jetties in Savusavu, Tavyuni, Nambawalu and Koro are in much worse state. Fiji Roads Authority Acting Maintenance Works Manager Aram Gose says these jetties are vital links to getting aid to remote areas hit most by severe tropical cyclone Winston.
The issues on the jetties will be more challenging structurally, and the repairs that we're providing at the moment are temporary in nature. The materials are vulnerable to another high sea event, could see the work that we've put back in place washed away, and we have to start again. But in the interest of having some access as soon as possible, we're proceeding and hoping for good prevailing wind weather.
Clearing the roads of debris isn't a major problem compared to the amount of damage sustained by jetties, the one in Tavyuni likely to need the most attention.
We are lucky that there has been contracting plant on the island. We do not know what they have been able to achieve due to the lack of reporting. The visual assessments of those jetties, however, did confirm significant damage, and we have yet to put a program in place on how that will be physically reinstated.
Local shipping company owner George Gounder says his ships are available for people who want to go back home to Koro Island.
Doing it for free of charge, for Koro people. As you know, Koro took the biggest brand damage of the cyclone for the outer island. So, I need to help my people. I'm from there, so I need to support my people that needs my assistance. So this is the only time. If I don't help them now, when will I help them?
The MV Lomaiviti Princess 1 is leaving for Koro Island tonight, and Gounder says people can send ration and any other form of aid free of charge. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
Families living along the coastal area of Boer province are still coming to terms with the disaster that struck them on Saturday. For most of them, it's something they've never experienced before, and an experience that will linger in their minds for a very long time. Eleanor Turanga view with this story from Nambawalu in Boa.
Nothing prepared them for the onslaught of tropical cyclone Winston. This is what this family at Vuya settlement in Nambawalu came home to. Debris strewn everywhere, their household items scattered in the field outside, crops destroyed, and no roof over their head.
Our house was damaged, so we ran to another concrete house. 2 families were already there. We started to cook food for the 3 families as water caused by the strong waves and heavy rain took down the house. The house started to wreck into pieces, with the roof falling off due to heavy rains and gusty winds.
As some relayed their stories of how they struggled to run to safety when their homes were being battered by the strong winds, waves and heavy rain, Other members of the family were just standing around, trying to take in the extent of damage to their property.
We've been told to run for our lives. We ran and swam to the other side with his baby. As we reached the other house, it started to go down as well. We looked for safety places to hide ourselves and tried to reach the village safely.
As Tropical Cyclone Winston leaves Fiji, these families are now left to pick up what's left of their homes and try to soldier on.
We are pleading to the government if we can be helped as soon as possible.
These families and the countless many others along this coast in Boa are now trying to put their lives back together, and we can only hope that assistance reaches them sooner rather than later. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
Casualties also occurred in Wainimbuka in the aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Winston. The province was hit hard. 4 people were killed, including a mother of 2. Akusita Tale with this exclusive report.
These villagers dropped everything they were doing to assist health officials at the Nayavu Health Center, transport 2 children to Korovo Hospital that sustained major injuries from Tropical Cyclone Winston. The 2, aged 7 and 10 from Manu village, lost their mother due to very strong winds sustained on Saturday night. FBC News spoke to the children's father, who was also seen with niggling injuries.
We started experiencing this very strong wind at around 6:30 p.m. on Saturday evening. The first 2 rounds that came wasn't really strong. However, when the 3rd round came, it was very strong. So I told my wife and the 2 kids to get ready to leave. But when they were still packing, we could just feel the wind carry the whole house. Carried us together in the house for nearly 100 meters before it threw us down a river. This is where my wife died instantly and my 2 children were hurt really bad.
Viala Seru seen here with her son and grandson making their way down to Vivewali village after burying her husband, who died instantly when he was blown away with parts of the walls of their house. She struggled to find safety until she joined other villagers who were sheltered under the floor of their community hall. Seru says this is one of the most painful and emotional experiences ever, having to lose her husband and father to their 4 children in the cyclone.
When I was blown away, I didn't know my husband was also blown away and landed in another place away from me. When I regained consciousness, I looked out to seek for help, but all I saw were trees swaying left and right. I was so scared, I hid under the roof iron again. I did that several times till the winds died down, but when I stood up, I didn't have any clothes on, but just my t-shirt on, and just started crawling and crying at the same time because I knew my husband and I had parted ways. I crawled up our hill and down the road again looking for help, but every house I crawled to had no more walls but just floors left. I had lost hope when I looked around and never saw any house standing.
When the winds died down in the morning, Seru, along with her youngest son and a few others, searched for her husband and found his body lying between corrugated irons. The 3rd incident is a 24-year-old boy of Nasimbitu village, where he died after the posts of his house fell on him. The boy was also buried by his family yesterday. FBC News also understands that a woman from Nasinu village in Tailevu died from major injuries she sustained from the strong winds and heavy rain. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
The Republic of Fiji military forces deployed 42 officers to Koro Island this morning. The deployment is to help with emergency recovery of Koro, designated as the government's first priority. Akusita Tale again with this report.
42 officers have been deployed to Coral Island, the most affected, that was hit by severe tropical cyclone Winston. Company Commander Lieutenant Colonel Ben Aliva from the 3 FIR company in Suva told FBC News the officers are taking rations, relief supplies and machinery provided by the Fiji Roads Authority.
To create some certainty amongst the local populace on Coral Island. We know they've been through a very traumatic experience, and we hope we can create some certainty in their lives by bringing stability to it. So at the moment there's a platoon there.
Lieutenant Colonel Naliva says the machinery that has been sent to Coral Island will be used to clear up the lines of communication on the island.
There's been some machinery for clearing roads and to fix the roads on the island of Coral that's been provided by FRE. And that was loaded onto a barge last night to accompany the platoon because what we assessed as most important at the moment is opening up the roads to enable the villagers to get access to the medical team that's traveling on the boat across with our personnel.
Another platoon of 42 officers is expected to leave for Moturiki and Ovalau tomorrow to assist in distributing rations. Meanwhile, 15 officers will leave this evening for the 3 islands of Batiki, Ngau and Nairai. Ako si Tatale, FBC News.
Families are being advised to, as soon as possible, bury or cremate bodies of those who've died as a result of Tropical Cyclone Winston. Commissioner Western Manasa Tangivakimbao says there are no facilities to store bodies for a lengthy period.
With indications that the death toll from Tropical Cyclone Winston will rise, Commissioner Western Manasa Tangivakimbao says families must not delay funeral of the deceased.
We are talking along these lines because of the bodies. The deceased, we cannot really bring them to the mortuary because there are no power. So the best option available is to have them buried immediately and then carry out all the other protocols later.
A number of families have already done this, knowing that there is no option at this stage. As assessments continue in the West, Tangivakimbao says the Navy is also on standby in Nandi to assist with transportation of relief supplies to outer islands.
We have pushed one of their ships across to the Western Division. It is now berthed here in Lotok. We haven't had any contacts with our maritime zone after the cyclone has passed. But the Navy are here. We will map out our response and then we'll engage their services to take us across to the islands to carry out these assessments.
Airports and seaports in the division are also a priority because of the need to get supplies out and facilitate the entry of international aid. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
After the break, Thavor villagers say Tropical Cyclone Winston was worst ever to hit them.
मैं हूँ रेहान खान कुरबो तालेबू के जैसे फेस्टिवल एग्रेट है कुरबो में उसी तरह मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है कुरबो में
एलिन लटुका में मिर्ची एफएम को लॉक कर दिया जाए मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
हम नकाशी से साइमान है हमारा फेस्टिवल जैसे नंबर 1 है वैसे मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है
माय नेम इज दिनेश हम नैंडी में काम करता है स्लीपिंग जायंट जिपलाइन में और मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट आई लाइक इट
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Ratu Kandavu Level School in Tailevu was slammed hard by Tropical Cyclone Winston. RKS Principal Penny Senikarawa believes a lot of time will be needed for repairs due to the huge amount of destruction. Savara Tambua has more details.
This is the trail of destruction left behind by Tropical Cyclone Winston at Ratu Kandavu Level School in Tailevu. The school head says massive damages caused by Winston is one which will take long to repair.
Nearly all the classrooms we have damaged windows and blown out roofs, and so we may not be able to start. But we can start. If the government wants us to start after a week, then it will be on a limited scale. But for the whole classroom, whole class, whole students, all to start. I don't think we may not be able to start as it is. The supporting staff quarters are badly damaged.
Some students experienced the cyclone for the first time.
I was frightened and couldn't hold back tears thinking of mom and dad back at home. I saw trees uprooted and even electric poles damaged. Tree branches fell off and even our dormitories are all flooded. Even roofs were flying everywhere. This is one of the worst cyclones I've ever experienced.
RKS students are currently on a break with the Education Ministry to decide on the starting school date shortly. Savira Tambua, FBC News.
Villagers of Corvo and Tavor feel lucky to have survived the impacts of severe tropical cyclone Winston in their 4-hour grueling ordeal on Saturday night. While 10 homes were completely demolished, the villagers are happy no lives were lost in what they describe as the strongest cyclone they endured to date. Madhyam Bolaitamana has more.
Picking up the pieces from what was left behind by severe tropical cyclone Winston, villagers of Corvo in Tavua going about their day in the aftermath.
The tropical cyclone that just left us was stronger than the one in 1972. In 1972, we only left with 5 houses because they were old Fijian Buris. For this one, all the houses are well built, especially the government houses that were just built were severely affected.
Chopekabua says the urgent need for the village and its surrounding communities is safe drinking water and food, as most root crops and vegetable farms had been destroyed.
We are now using water from the well for washing clothes, washing dishes. No food was left. Root crops and vegetables, they are all gone. Nothing was left.
Kavua says the village evacuation center is still being populated by those whose homes had been destroyed by Tropical Cyclone Winston, while the village cleans up the debris left in its wake.
During the cyclone, some people left their houses to go to other houses. There are 3 to 4 families staying in one house due to their houses being severely damaged by Cyclone Winston.
The villagers say they will continue to do their part in rebuilding their lives from the devastation of Tropical Cyclone Winston, with the hope of getting some assistance from those in authority. Madhyam Bolaitamana, FBC News.
As the after effects of Tropical Cyclone Winston emerge, stories of survival during the storm are coming out. In Lautoka, Navin Deo and his family have nothing left and had to use their bed to save their lives. Indra Singh has more.
The pictures say it all, as this family were also amongst those who were not spared by severe tropical cyclone Winston, and the voice of a kid summed it all up during the height of the storm.
She was quite terrified. She was holding on to me in the bathroom. She was crying. Are we gonna die? Are you gonna die? So it was all on her face.
A bed which is usually used to sleep turned to be the only thing that saved their lives.
Me, my daughter, and wife. So we went in the bathroom for two hours or something. Then the wind eased off. We went under the bed for the rest of the night. We spent the rest of the night under the bed in the cool floor. All of my stuffs are like ruined. I have my roof no more. So it blew off at about 8:30 in the night.
This was an ordeal which will not be easily erased from the memories of this family.
Actually, terrified. They were quite terrified. The wind, the gusty winds, and the movement of the walls. It's like about to collapse.
This is just one of the stories emerging after the cyclone, which has now become the most deadly and strongest ever to hit the country. And for the Deo family, just like thousands of others around the country, there is no telling what the next few weeks will hold. Indra Singh, FBC News.
Bataan also faced the ferocity of severe tropical cyclone Winston. These images gathered by FBC News reveal the extent of damage in parts of Ba, roofs of homes missing whilst others were wiped out. Ba Sanatan College suffered extensive damage, with not just the roof of their main block missing, but a whole block of classrooms destroyed. As you can see here, not only was the roof ripped off, but windows were blown out and everything inside the rooms destroyed by rain and strong winds. The sporting facilities around the country were not spared during the tropical cyclone Winston. Meanwhile, the Fiji Football Association has called off its National League games for the next month and are calling on other parties to consider conditions before organising events. Rohit Deo has more.
Lives lost, houses grounded and dreams shattered. Tropical cyclone Winston has also not spared sporting facilities. Nasoris Ratu Kambau Park lost its main floodlights, with damages also to the roof and side walls. Govin Park in Ba has also been damaged, and it may take some time since any match is played there again. The main ground in the soccer town has been badly affected, with a portion of the roof found in the middle of the field after the cyclone. The Fiji Football Association has called off all its National League competition for the next 1 month. PGFA President Rajesh Patel has also called on the religious organizations to think twice before going ahead with its tournaments in the Easter holidays next month. Patel has also called the nation to work hand in hand in these hard times, and only then will the country be able to recover from the aftermath of the disaster. Rohit Deo, FBC News.
After the break, more on tropical cyclone Winston and its aftermath.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Ganiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa, and I'm from Lutoka, and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Mulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM. It rocks in Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Over 400 people on the island of Taveuni are currently sheltering in 9 evacuation centres and 4 residences. At the Tavuki Village Hall, 25 adults and 2 children took shelter, while 18 adults, 2 children and 1 infant were evacuated to Holy Cross School Block 1. Also at Holy School were another infant, 4 children and 6 adults. At Navisi House, 12 babies, 28 children and 39 adults are waiting for their chance to return home. 46 people, including 32 children, are at the Holy Cross Kindergarten, while 48 are at the Somo Provincial Office, 48 are at the Nasele Sele Community Hall, and another 78 at the Weleni AOG Church. Over 30 families are taking shelter in 4 different residences. Every effort is now being put into analysing and ascertaining the extent of damage on the island of Taveuni so rehabilitation can get underway. A team from the Emergency Operations Centre in Lambasa visited the island yesterday and reported massive damages on the island. Eleanor Tarangai View with this story.
These are just some of the damage witnessed by the teams from the Divisional Emergency Operations Centre in Lambasa when they visited Taveuni yesterday.
According to the report that we have received, the damage sustained to the island is quite large too. We will need to ascertain that when the DDA team goes there this afternoon.
First Light Inn in Wayevo badly smashed with the roof blown off. Just one of the many hotels and accommodation on the island to have felt the wrath of tropical cyclone Winston. Many families were already cleaning up when the team arrived, some repairing their homes. The full extent of damage will be known after the detailed disaster assessment is carried out.
We expect to send 6 teams this afternoon across to Taveuni to go and do a detailed analysis of the damage caused by cyclone. So at the end of the week we will be able to really know the full extent and the amount of assistance that is required for Taveuni.
The 2 jetties that are the main port of entries by sea to Taveuni, Lobonibonu and Salia, are also badly damaged.
The 2 jetties in Taveuni are both damaged. The one in Lobonibonu and Salia inaccessible too. It's unsafe to be used in in the next few days or even a few weeks if we don't do anything about it.
Efforts are now underway to restore all communication links to the island, which has been down since Tropical Cyclone Winston hit on Saturday.
We are sending across a team from Telkom today to Taveuni to try and connect the communications in Taveuni. They are also airlifting some experts, technicians from Suva to Taveuni today, so we hope to see some good results today.
The Fiji Electricity Authority is also working to restore power in Taveuni. At the moment, they do not know when it will be fully restored, as the extent of damage is yet to be known. Eleanor Turangayu, FBC News.
Fiji is receiving assistance from overseas nations. Today, India, China and the US all contributed monetary immediate assistance to help with recovery in the aftermath of severe tropical cyclone Winston. DISMAC has confirmed their assistance.
From Australia and New Zealand, we also have France. They are actually facilitating some air wings with us for the purpose of distribution of foods. There have been some commitment made by China, $100,000, United States of America, $100,000. This goes to the Fiji Red Cross. We also have New Zealand, apart from what they have now with their planes, and in the country right now, they have offered another $250,000 to the NDMO. So these are some of the assistance that are flowing in.
Australia has given a $5 million package and New Zealand over $2 million. Teachers at Queen Victoria School are still in the dark as to when school will resume due to the aftermath of Cyclone Winston. QVS Vice Principal Osea Koli says if the need arises for students to go to nearby schools for the time being, then it has to be accepted for their benefit. Sainiani Mboila has more.
The Level North is one area almost totally devastated by Tropical Cyclone Winston. At QVS, 13 classrooms and one physics lab were completely destroyed. QVS Vice Principal Osea Koli says the school still awaits confirmation on the relocation of students.
So if the minister decides that the students will find home zone schools, then he'll just inform the schools around Fiji that the Queen Victoria School or RKS students are out in here and maybe they be accepted into schools that are near their homes.
Vice Principal Koli vividly remembered how TC Winston smashed doors and louvers on Saturday night and left nothing, tore the roofs of teachers' quarters and severely damaged classrooms.
4 Form 4 classrooms, 3 Form 7 classrooms, 2 Form 6 classrooms, 4 Form 3 classrooms, 1 physics lab, the Victorian building there, which houses 2 Form 4, and at the bottom we have the staff room and the whole computer lab that's totally out.
Present, they are awaiting an evaluation of the damage and have no idea when repair work will begin. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
Scattered showers affected most parts of the country today. In temperatures, they were all in the 30s. Tomorrow, occasional rain and few thunderstorms. Isolated heavy falls likely. Moderate to fresh northwest to northeast winds. And the further outlook is for Thursday. Rain will be easing. Recapping the main stories for tonight. 29 dead so far after tropical cyclone Winston. Government works around the clock to help those affected. And stories emerge of how people encountered the severe cyclone. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. And stay with us as right after this you can watch the address by Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama in the aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Winston. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Bye for now.
is Sarah. I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy. I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah. I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks. My name is Denasa, and I'm from Lutoka, and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Wulamila. I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM. It rocks in Raki Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.